Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting of September 10th, 2024. Can I please have the roll call?
Mayor Sidney.
Present.
Reeve Emo.
Present.
Councillor Legree.
Present.
Councillor McWhorter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Sobalski.
Present.
Councillor Anderdick.
Present.
Mayor Sidney, we have quorum.
Thank you. On to our land acknowledgement. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Any declarations of interest? Hearing and seeing none. On to presentations, delegations, and announcements. C1. Presentation of our Arts, Heritage, and Culture Master Plan presented by DCAR Community Solutions. So welcome to our wonderful people that are going to give us our update on the master plan, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hello. Thank you very much. I'm Janet Creta, and this is just Julie Glazer from DCAR Community Solutions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the community and the staff for participating and believing in this project and bringing it forward. We're very excited to give you the presentation today. So I will share my screen here. Okay, I'm just trying to see how to get to get it just for full screen. There we go. Back. Okay. So thank you for the land acknowledgement. I'll defer. You've already acknowledged we are on the Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory, and I'll turn to Julie.
As well, we join you today from Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples, protected by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship of 1752. This treaty states that we are all treaty people.
That's in Nova Scotia. And so the team that had worked on this project, I think you've met myself and Julie, and I just want to acknowledge that Charlotte Grace and Kayla Mansfield Brown Amalgamy was also one of the part of the team that brought this this plan to you. So as you know, we've been out in the community and we've created the plan. I just wanted to go in the presentation. We're going to tell you a little bit about what we learned from the research and interviews, and then the main key elements of the master plan that we've pulled together. And Julie and I will be trading off the slides as we go through. So first, to share what we learned from the interviews and surveys and the public engagement that we've done in the community. Both positive and some constructive things that we've learned. Individual citizens, not-for-profit organizations, and ad hoc groups drive the local arts, culture, and heritage activities in Renfrew. There's support for arts, culture, and heritage is limited with stretched capacity and no designated infrastructure or sufficient resources. The arts, culture, and heritage champions include the library, the town staff, residents who are founders of local guilds, festivals of events, past and present. And we heard the town offers a diverse and interesting and ample range of recreational, arts, cultural, and community-based programming.
We also learned that there's unclear communication and processes make it challenging for individuals, businesses, and community groups to access the support they need for success in their initiatives. Access to information and programs with fees are barriers to participation. COVID was a disruptor to Renfrew's many long-standing and well-attended events and activities. Due to limited numbers of aging volunteers, they have not restarted or grown. Many of Renfrew's community-based arts, culture, and heritage organizations do not have strategic plans or defined visions for their future. Renfrew attracts newcomers and retired people by offering a small-town, affordable lifestyle. Newcomers bring new skill sets and time, but find it difficult to meet people.
And I want to just clarify that newcomers are maybe people who are new to Canada, but also people that are simply new to the town from other parts of the province or the country. We learned that the Golden Age Activity Center and the library play central roles in providing welcoming and inclusive spaces with diverse and supportive programs and activities, that children and youth enjoy creative and recreational interests, but found there are few opportunities to participate in a diverse variety of activities with others in their peer groups. Youth engagement with the Art Factory activities is high, and participants come from both the town and in the country. The County of Renfrew is an engaged partner with resources and capacity to support Renfrew's arts, culture, and heritage business development, and can help with, for example, additional partnership development with the Bonnechere and Pikwakanagan First Nations.
Access to public transportation is critical to access programs and events. The waterfront, river, trail systems, and gateway to northern parks and outdoor adventures are natural recreational assets with synergies to Renfrew's arts, culture, and heritage. People of all ages expressed a strong desire for more Indigenous-led events, pride events, and opportunities to learn more about the diversity of the culture. There is a strong desire for connection with others through in-person activities and opportunities to change the way of doing things and being as a community.
And we learned a couple of other important issues that were raised that were not directly specific to arts, heritage, and culture, but certainly informed the recommendations that we made and were important that we thought be heard by council and by the community. Those were highlighting that gendered violence against women and the isolation of women in Renfrew were identified, and safe spaces for women are seen as necessary. And food security and engagement in community gardens were also raised as important community challenges.
So here are the goals that came from the research and engagement. Goal A, create a supportive foundation for Renfrew's arts, culture, and heritage sector to grow from and blossom. Objective 1A, implement a clear vision for arts, culture, and heritage in the town of Renfrew. A2, arts, culture, and heritage is elevated and visible in municipal governance. 3, the town of Renfrew's managed arts, culture, and heritage institutions play a clear role developing and fostering a welcoming, accessible, and inclusive community.
And so as part of the plan, we've provided a draft vision statement, and I'll read it to you now. Renfrew has a vibrant arts, culture, and heritage community that celebrates diversity, fosters unity, and enriches the lives of residents and visitors alike. Our arts, culture, and heritage sector thrives with professional expertise, inclusive learning for all ages, and recreational enjoyment. Our programs and activities promote healing, prosperity, and community pride.
Goal B, identify the structures required to support the vision, stabilize and grow opportunities. B1, there are visible symbols in the town of Renfrew and online that demonstrate and reinforce a welcoming, accessible, inclusive community and support the arts, culture, and heritage vision. Objective 2, streamline communications for arts, culture, and heritage activities with the community through accessible, engaging, and transparent methods and plans. B3, support capacity in the community to revitalize volunteerism and grow engagement, skills, and knowledge in the arts, culture, and heritage sector.
And the third goal, so we have 3 goals, and I forgot to mention at the beginning, but this document has been available to the community with more detailed activities under each of the objectives. And there's a full technical report that staff have based on this project. For goal C, the third pillar is to develop the infrastructure that is required to enact the vision. And objective C1 is establish an independent mechanism to focus solely on community leadership and initiatives in arts, culture, and heritage in Renfrew with the creation of a Renfrew Arts Council. Objective C2, capitalizing on existing community spaces for cultural and historic activities that are meaningful to town residents. And C3, establish signature events for Renfrew to be supported by the town in kind and with grant funding, but managed and produced by the Renfrew Arts Council with support from community organizers.
Thank you. Miigwech, Wiyalin.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the work that you've done for this. Council, do you have any questions for the group? Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. I'm just trying to find it. Here it is here. I just like, thank you for the presentation. Very well done. Lots of great information. But I'd like you to touch base on this and explain this a little bit more in more detail. So what we learned, you state children and youth enjoy creativity and recreational interests, but there are few opportunities to participate in a diverse variety of these activities with others in their peer groups. Could you elaborate on that a little more on what you're talking about? Thank you.
Sure, that's great. Yeah, sorry about that. That's a great question. And in the report, in the full engagement report, you will see the reasons why. You'll see the data and the full explanation. But to put it very simply, a lot of children are bused into school, and there are children who live in town, and they don't have a lot of opportunity to mix. So especially the kids who are interested in arts and cultural activity, because there's no public transportation, so they would be reliant upon parents to drive them into Renfrew to participate in the activities.
Okay, thank you. That's perfect. And I do want to touch on one thing. Just let me scroll here. I do apologize. You take notes and then you just lose the page. There was.
I got my numbers and letters backwards today when I was reading, so.
Here it is here. So I just want to touch base on it for the public because you brought it up in this presentation. I think it's important that the public council, talks about this. So you said what we learned, other important issues raised. And even though it isn't about arts and culture, you did mention that the concerns highlighting gendered violence against women and the isolation of women in Renfrew were identified. Safe spaces for women are seen as necessary, and I 100% agree that it is necessary that we have this space. And I would just like to make it publicly known that although Renfrew, the town itself, doesn't have any of these necessities that we need, it has been announced that Victim Services of Renfrew County will be moving into Renfrew County Place on October 1st. So that is something well-deserved in the town of Renfrew. So if there's any, violence against women and these ladies need to reach out to resources, Victim Services will be in the town of Renfrew. Also, the Bernadette McCann House in Pembroke is there available. I just wanted to make sure that anybody that was watching, that there are resources available for these individuals that might require it. And, I didn't want to bring it up, but you guys brought it up, so I just wanted to state that to the public. So anyways, great presentation. Thank you so much for the answers. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning that, because we heard a lot of that, and again, you will see it in the report, and I really appreciate the fact that you've mentioned that, and also how that incorporates back into programming as the programming unfolds for the community in the arts, culture, and heritage sector, that there be opportunities that are safe spaces for women. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Revimo?
Yes, thank you very much for this, and through the mayor to you. Goal A, create a supportive foundation. So would the foundation be a grants organization where it would find money, whether through donations to them or bequests, and then they would offer some baseline funding for new events or ongoing funding for older events and opportunities?
The details of that are in the full report, so you're getting a high-level overview in this presentation. So there's a full plan as to actually how to make this happen with budget items and timelines.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought maybe just a little bit for the folks online or in the electronic audience, that's all.
To be honest, we weren't prepared to review the full report, and it's been a long time since we were last in the community, which was in the spring with the open house. So we would actually, I'd have to go through my file and pull up the report to review that with you now. But maybe Janet can pipe in with better memory.
Sorry, yeah, it has been a while, so yeah, I can speak to a few things. So under goal A, a lot of that doesn't really cost any money. It's clearly identifying roles and responsibilities within the town tied to the vision. It's aligning town planning documents so that the town plan, the land use policies, the heritage policies, and economic development and tourism plans all align and reflect the vision so that there's synergies there. So that's things that doesn't cost money. They're also the town, updating the town's grants to community partners and tourism events and support policies. I know that some of that has already been done to make sure that that aligns with the vision. And then the welcoming communities is an approach that is identified as one to look to. And so that's sort of part of establishing the vision and supporting it within the municipal structures. There's parts about it under A is really about sort of municipal governance. So creating in terms of reference, having a committee that would there is a part about dedicating funding. We get into sort of, so the upfront pieces are not things that really have much budget attached to them. As you get into sort of goal C is sort of establishing an arts council. There are funding and grant opportunities for doing just that, but you sort of need to have some pieces in place first before you take
Get
that
there.
next
Yeah.
step. So then, yeah.
Can I pop in here for a second, Janet?
Yeah.
So Janet's obviously pulled up the report. The report has been available. I believe some printed copies were made available. It is in an accessible format PDF for screen readers. If anybody has any problems with a different type of screen reader, please flag us and we will revise the PDF if needed. But there is a full document. Staff have had the opportunity. We took lots of great feedback from your CAO and staff to really make the recommendations fit for you, because we're acutely aware of budgetary issues that the town has, and so we really wanted to make arts, culture, and heritage work for the town so that this is doable, it's feasible. And it's really more about relationship building and, laying that really good foundation in your community to make things happen. Partnerships, collaborations, low cost, low cost, doable things. And we did identify grant funding opportunities that are priorities within the federal and the provincial governments. So those are really great opportunities for startup that would actually help support the Arts Council to do this work. So so it's a great read. I highly recommend you dig into it. And yeah, and start to work through the plan if this is what the town wants. It's a great opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. Just to let council know that that final big report is coming to the committee of the whole next, so you will get it very soon. Any other clarifying questions? Director
Sorry,
Thompson?
through you, Mayor. So, yeah, just to let people know it is on the website as well,
Okay,
the
perfect.
draft plan, for anybody who wants to look at it.
Great. Any other questions? Just to, before we say goodbye to these lovely people, I just wanted to add on to Councillor Andrew Dick's comments about safety and stuff. The Renfrew Public Library is also a great safe place for people to go when they're open, so should you need to reach out, their staff is wonderful. So thank you very much. Look forward to reading the full report, and we appreciate all your hard work on this. I think it's something that's very important to our community, and we look forward to implementing everything we can.
Great, thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
It was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, moving on to C.2, presentations, the Bonnechere River Parks and Trail Working Group update. And I will turn it over to our Manager of Environment, Ms. Springer, to give the update.
Thank you, Mayor. I am presenting today from the delegation table, as I have some folks from my working group here in the audience that I'll introduce after the presentation. But this presentation that is going to come up here was requested by council and is being provided to update council on the project, but also clarify some misconceptions about the project. So we can go ahead and start with the next slide. This is a slide on some key dates leading up to where we are now. Additional details of many of these dates were provided in the April 23rd, 2004 report to council, but I've added a couple extra dates relevant to this presentation. But as you can see from this timeline, we've really only substantially started working on this project about a year ago. We can go to the next slide. This project started with the idea of an urban provincial park. To date, the town has not been turned down for an urban provincial park, nor has our proposal been accepted. In late September of 2023, a new minister was assigned to the MECP, and to get that minister up to speed on a proposal, the town met with local MPP John Yakubuski in October of 2023 to discuss this proposal. Mr. Yakubuski indicated that he would discuss the proposal with the new minister, but also that he would connect us with the SHAD Foundation, which is an organization that Ontario Parks works with. In January of 2024, the town was awarded a delegation to the MECP, in which we also presented our proposal. The SHAD Foundation also helped us with that, and folks from Ontario Parks were also present at that delegation. Again, the town was not turned down for an urban provincial park at this meeting. However, the MECP and Ontario Parks were less enthusiastic than during our first meeting with them. The town has been told that the new minister, Minister Kajan, has a different vision for Ontario Parks than Minister Pacini did, and that our proposal is not a good match for this vision at the proposal stage. But it could be in the future. We have opted to proceed without Ontario Parks at this time, given that we have been able to secure other partners in the SHAD Foundation, Nature Conservancy of Canada, and the Bruce Trail Conservancy. Next slide. So a bit more about these partnerships. As mentioned, John Yakubuski introduced us to the SHAD Foundation. They are a private family foundation that focuses on nature and nutrition programs, primarily through providing grants. However, they also work closely with conservation authorities, land trusts, the Ontario and Ontario and federal governments, and other organizations on the establishment of new nature areas. The SHAD Foundation then introduced us to the Bruce Trail Conservancy, who are the stewards of Canada's longest marked footpath, a nature trail that stretches from Niagara to Tobermory, crossing ecologically sensitive lands, geologically unique landscapes, and various types of public and private land. The Bruce Trail Conservancy are experts in volunteer engagement. They build and maintain their trail system primarily using volunteers. And then lastly is the Nature Conservancy. They are the largest land conservation organization in the country. They are experts in nature conservation and habitat restoration, and some of the work that you may be familiar with is Gillies Grove and Arnprior. Next slide. As mentioned, we have been substantially working on this project for about a year, and it started with a delegation to the MECP in which we presented a conceptual plan. Details of the delegation were then shared with the whole of council and picked up by MyFM, which introduced the project to the community. Following that, 2 residents of Stevenson Crescent reached out to staff, one by email and one by phone. Following our meeting with John Yakubuski, we then sent a letter to 3 properties on Stevenson Crescent. Only 1 response was received to that letter, and council is aware of that response. Over the winter and early spring, we did some more investigative work and brought on the partners listed on the last slide. We also shifted our focus to more of the lands around Forest View Crescent and Highway 17. In the spring of 2024, the working group was established and a project-specific web page was launched for the public to get information on the project and sign up for updates if they wished. Around the same time, the draft Parks, Recreation, and Waterfront master plans were being prepared and presented for community consultation. Given the similar name and scope, these master plans were easily confused with the Bonnechere River Trail and Park project, including confusion by the Eganville leader, which may have contributed to increased confusion in the community. Next slide. So I'm going to take some time to explain the difference between these 3 projects. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan focuses on existing trails, parkland, and open green space. It is consultant-led with community and staff engagement. The Waterfront Master Plan is associated with the Parks and Rec Master Plan, but solely focuses on specific identified waterfront parcels, generally on the north side of the river between RCAF Park and just beyond the end of Arthur Avenue. The plan recommends a waterfront trail that includes paved and engineered surfaces with a recommended minimum width of 3 meters. The Bonnechere River Park and Trail focuses on the forested and meadow lands on the south side of the river and in the central and eastern portions of town. The project is being led by staff with community involvement via a working group and for professional support from in-kind external partners. The trail would be a nature trail or similar to a hiking trail with minimum built infrastructure. Early maps shown at the master plan open houses showed the Bonnechere River Park and Trail conceptual plan. However, these lands were out of scope for the master plans and were shown to illustrate potential tie-ins. However, given the confusion this has led to, the Bonnechere River Park and Trail has been removed from the final waterfront master plan maps. So Carolyn already went ahead, sorry. Here are the maps. On the left is the final waterfront master plan map showing the scope of work for that project, which is primarily in the area around the swinging bridge. On the right is the map that was presented to the MECP back in the fall of 2023 during our first urban provincial park pitch. Different versions of this map exist. It's constantly evolving as we get more information or improve the map visually, depending on who we're preparing it for. An updated map of the Bonnechere River Park and Trail project will be presented later in this presentation. Next slide. So it has been asked why we included the private lands on the first conceptual maps. Again, they are conceptual maps, and they have shown that these lands were privately owned. Discussion of the map has always included conversation around having to work with the private landowners to realize the full potential of the project. However, that existing unofficial trails already existed on these private lands, as shown in these drone photos. The project would seek to legitimize and improve these existing trails, but only with the support of the property owners. Next slide. Another question we've got is why trail? And the answer is people want a trail, as shown in the results from the 2023 Strategic Plan Public Survey. Although the town has a number of other trails, We do not have this type of nature trail. People want somewhere to walk that's not sidewalks or multi-purpose trails or places that they have to share with ATVs and other users. And people want to be close to nature and close to the river. I think this is further evidenced by the number of unofficial trails that exist in the town, including those down by the wastewater treatment plant and those on the Opeongo growth area lands. These types of trails can also be an ecotourism draw, and they act to provide the public with a greater appreciation of nature. And there's also opportunity to enhance the habitat of the area by having nature-oriented people in the area to identify unique or endangered species and manage those species. Next slide. So we are already aware of an invasive garlic mustard and creeping jenny on the lands, and the working group has a goal of removing these species. Our biologist has identified the potential for species at risk at the site, and we're working with the Nature Conservancy to best manage the site based on these findings, which includes utilizing citizen science, by which users of the trail can document ecological finds through apps such as iNaturalist, which are then used by researchers and others to do research. Next slide. So the big one is funding, and I'll start by saying that no tax dollars are being utilized on this project for the trail development portion. Staff time is being utilized for project management and some specialized labor, which will be minimal, as most of the work will be completed by volunteers. The town has received a $25,000 donation from the Shad Foundation. This is a one-time donation, some seed money to get us started with some purchases like trail markers, T-posts, signages, and some trailhead adjustments. With the support of volunteers, this donation will go very far. The working group has also discussed general sponsorship and item-specific sponsorship for things like benches and picnic tables. Long-term funding would include the federal government, it's specifically for developing the trail on their portion of the property, the Library Archives property, and other grant opportunities. There are a plethora of grant opportunities for trails and nature-oriented projects. However, a number of them require fund matching, and staff would recommend utilizing the Environment Reserve for any funding requiring fund matching, but that would come back to council for discussion if it was ever required. Next slide. A bit more about the trail. Our short-term focus area has trailheads at Forest View Crescent Pumping Station and a potential second trailhead at the intersection of Hall and Gillen Avenue. Both of these sites are gated, although of course it is easy enough to get around a gate. It does provide a bit of extra security if we ever had to close the trail temporarily or permanently. Our insurance provider requires that we post signage at the trailhead identifying trail rules. However, they indicated that there would be no associated increases to our insurance premiums. We have also consulted with the town's fire department, public works, and recreation departments, and no unmanageable concerns have been raised. And additionally, Chief Guest mentioned that the county paramedic and the OPP have specialized teams in place to deal with off-road rescue and search and rescue, given our proximity to other wilderness trails, such as in Algonquin Park or those in Greater Madawaska. Next slide. So a bit about our working group. They were fully established on May 28th, 2004, and we have had 3 meetings since. The first was an introductory meeting, the second was a site visit, and the third was a follow-up to the said site visit. The working group is very keen to get to work, and we have a work day planned for the end of September to start work on a small section of the trail. We are putting the call out for additional volunteers to help with things such as installing signs, clearing vegetation, and invasive species removal. Next slide. So with that, I want to share with you what is now the new project map and the focus of the project for the short term. The red trail is primarily what the working group will be working on later in the month, with some additional work being done on the tip of the peninsula where we discovered the garlic mustard. We feel confident that we could open the red trail this fall, but would not be able to open it further due to private property associated with the Hunter Gate subdivision that has yet to be formally transferred to the town. Once the transfer is completed, we could open the Orange Trail in short order, followed by the Green Trail, pending our partnership with the federal government, which is in the works. The tentative timeline for the Orange and Green Trail would be next spring or summer. Additionally, we are looking at the Purple Trail, which would permit additional parking. However, more investigation is required for this trail, as the slope behind Forest View Crescent and crossing the ravine has been proven to be very difficult. So the tentative timeline for that could reach into 2026. We still would like to explore beyond these boundaries as shown in the earlier conceptual plan. These areas would be explored as opportunities arise, which includes the availability of funding, community interest, new and continued partnerships, and cooperation with the private landowners. However, at this time, we do not have enough information to have meaningful consultation with many of the private landowners. Next slide. This is just a few pictures from the site, from the peninsula and towards the highway. That concludes my presentation, and as mentioned, I'd like to turn it over to my working group to talk about the project and why they volunteered for the working group, and then I'll take any questions. Thanks. Whoever wants to come, y'all can come all at once. Just make sure that that's green.
Good evening. My name is Terry Edwards, one of the volunteers with the working group. Amanda, expertly laid out the benefits of this project. Just want to briefly touch on why I'm involved, or why I chose to become involved in this. I can't stress enough, I think, the importance of volunteers giving back to their community in one way. I often see on social media that people are very critical, but I often challenge people like that. Okay, that's good. You have criticism, you have concerns, and we want to hear those. But I've often challenged my friends, what could you do to bring your skill set, your action, your energy, and your ideas to help make the town better? So I certainly believe in that, and it's something that my parents stressed. In particular, my dad, Hugh Edwards, was a dedicated volunteer with the town for many decades, and he was one of the key people involved in the original purchase of the 147 acres for Mattaway Park. As a teenager, I remember being at Mattaway on a Saturday morning when the bulldozers were there, initially building the first road into Mattaway, and I look at how far it's come and what tremendous impact that's had on the town of Renfrew and the citizens, not just in Renfrew, but in the Renfrew area. Excuse me. I know that my dad would support the development of our recreational trail for the citizens of Renfrew and beyond. And he had always had the caveat, provided that the project was carried out in a responsible and professional manner, and everything that I've seen so far certainly indicates that that is the way it's being done. In the past, my primary involvement in giving back to the community has been in the form of coaching. Now that I've retired and stepped back from that, I was looking for some new opportunity, and this has been a perfect fit. So I'm certainly looking forward to working with the working group. And what's interesting, I was born and raised in Renfrew. As a kid, like any kid, we explored. We went everywhere. But when we walked the parts of the trail, the initial parts of the trail, I was in areas of Renfrew that I have never seen in my life. And it was really cool. And it's a great opportunity. And I think that that part of this is opening up resources that we have so that people can enjoy the natural beauty. And I think that's an important part of it as well. As with any project, there are concerns, there are objections. I look forward to working with our group to hear the objections, to address the concerns in a professional manner, and to help develop a new form of recreation that our citizens and my children and eventually grandchildren and future generations can enjoy for many, many years to come. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Haley Heaslip. I am honored to speak as a member of the committee. My commitment to this project stems from my passion for creating a strong community and improving our environmental world. The Bonnechere River Park and Trail represents a significant opportunity for us to enhance our community by providing a space where people of all ages can come together and enjoy the outdoor activities and strengthen connections with each other. As a proud member of Girl Guides of Canada, I have seen an incredible impact that access to outdoor space can have on young people. Trail systems like the River Park Trail would offer endless learning experiences for the next generation, helping them to connect with nature, learn about environmental stewardship, and develop a long life appreciation for the outdoors. I am personally excited to volunteer my time and assist in the maintenance of the park, and look forward to one day teaching my future children the importance of preserving our natural environment. Our project also has the potential to attract visitors from outside of our town, particularly from Ottawa and the surrounding areas. Many people are actively seeking green space to explore within an hour's drive of their homes, and Bonnechere Park Trail could become a valuable destination for them. Enhancing our natural assets, we could draw tourism that benefits local businesses and contributes to our own town's economic growth. The trail will serve as a cherished asset for Renfrew and offers residents a place to explore, relax, and engage with nature. It's an investment in our community's well-being and our environment, reflecting our shared values and aspirations. Though I am relatively new to Renfrew, my short time here has been immensely rewarding. I have had an opportunity to connect with many of you and witness firsthand the strong sense of community we share. Together we can make the Bonnechere River Park and Trail a thriving, valuable resource for all of Renfrew and beyond. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Tawny Stinson. I'm a resident of Renfrew. I'm a hiker, a dog owner, an obsessive citizen scientist, and an outdoor educator. So to me, these trail systems represent something really wonderful for our community, and I'm super excited to be involved in this project. I found that during COVID, the outdoors was a very important escape from the constant bad news, from the constant negativity, and just a really great opportunity to get away from it all in a safe space. And tons of people moved here from the city to get away from their box in a box that they lived in. For youth and young folks, something other than hockey is really important. I grew up in the area and I am not a hockey person. And I think that if we can spend a very small amount of money and time on developing a trail system that will benefit other folks like myself, it'll really help other people like me feel like they're part of the community. It's also an opportunity to bring in ecotourism, like Amanda mentioned, and as others have mentioned. When people go out for a hike, they go out for a meal too afterwards. They're usually pretty hungry either to begin or to end, and I always end my hikes with a big meal. So I think this will bring in a ton of people to the community that otherwise wouldn't be here. I also am very keen on educating people on the importance of wild spaces and native species and the issues surrounding invasive species. So on our little walkthrough, I pointed out the invasive garlic mustard. Garlic mustard is a hugely problematic plant that is all over Renfrew and often not noticed by people. But what it does is it puts out an allelopathic toxin that kills all the other plants around it and makes it impossible for other things to grow there. It has a 16-year life cycle, and during that period, it systematically kills everything that's growing nearby. So to me, it's very important that we eliminate that from our natural spaces and from our gardens and make our community bloom a little bit brighter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak to you and the community. My name is Patty Enright. I'm a member of the Trail Working Group, and I'd like to share a bit with you about why I'm excited about the project. I was lucky enough to grow up in Renfrew, in the Renfrew area, and to attend elementary and high school here. And I was fortunate enough again to buy a house in Renfrew in the Hunter Gate subdivision in 2020. I, like Tawny mentioned, escaped a box in a box in the city and was happy to. And I was able to show my wife how great living in a small town can be. We're both really excited to be expecting our first child, and we're looking forward to raising them here in the valley. It'll be a while until they're walking on the trail, but I hope to share that with them too. When we chose to move to my hometown, we were excited by the opportunity to be part of a growing community, one where the great outdoors is never too far away. Since moving here, we've met a lot of great neighbors in our subdivision, but also across town, many of whom are really excited about the opportunity this trail presents. The trail gives us a chance to be good stewards of our natural assets. It will also let residents access the outdoor space that, as Amanda shared, in many cases already belong to the community or will soon. But for me, the trail gives us a chance to do more than that. As we all know, unfortunately, over the past few months, our community has heard a lot of bad news. It will be easy to shy away from new challenges given that context. But I think that would send the wrong message about our town, and I hope that all of you agree with me on that. I think that this trail is an opportunity to create an asset that promotes healthy living, creates space for outdoor recreation, draws visitors to our town and hopefully our shops, and shows both current residents and prospective new ones that exciting things can happen here. I think in the years ahead, a lot of people, like me, will be considering the opportunities that small town living presents. I hope they pick Renfrew. I hope that building and looking after this trail is an opportunity to strengthen our community spirit now and in the years to come. I'm thankful to be part of this working group, and I hope that as a community, we can build this trail and create an asset we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Yeah, and CAO, I think, wants to jump in here too first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to thank the volunteers for their wonderful work. That is the spirit of working groups, and to see people engaged and come to it from a variety of perspectives and get enjoyment out of it and give back of their time, I think that's great. Just want to touch on why this is here and why there's a working group, is that the strategic plan talked about these lands, included these lands, the corporate work plan included this project, and council did create this working group to work through some of the issues and also build some community support and also some skin in the game to get this off the ground. And I want to just point out that the concerns raised by residents on Stevenson Crescent have been analyzed and understood, and you see the phasing and next steps, and the trail is nowhere near Stevenson Crescent. And you'll see that it's not utilizing any real tax dollars or additional investment. They were really dependent on a community-led initiative with some wonderful partners, having worked in the Georgian Bay region to have the Bruce Trail come out and provide advice, and the Shad Trail, the Shad Foundation that MPP Yakabuski turned us onto, and then the Nature Conservancy of Canada. So those are three great partners as well. I just wanted to note that the presentation today was meant for information purposes so that council could be caught up on the project, its history, and the community as well, but also in terms of the phasing and the scope to really clarify what this project is about and what it is not. I should point out that because it's for information purposes, should council want to change course and not proceed with this initiative, a notice of motion would be required, because you would be doing a few things. One, you wouldn't be following your strategic plan, you wouldn't be following your corporate work plan, and you would be ending a working group that has some dedicated volunteers on. So I just want to be very clear in terms of next steps. Basically, we've created a working group to continue to do this wonderful work, understand the scope, report back to council on a regular basis, but just wanted to note that if this initiative doesn't proceed, would require direction from council to do so, but you would also be getting rid of the working group with some talented volunteers that have come forward, and there wouldn't be any real savings to the taxpayer. I do want to also point back to the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Even though it doesn't specifically address this, it does speak to a variety of recreational opportunities. And this would be one of them. So not just facilities that involve ice or program space at Mattaway. Those are all very important, but it also includes the natural areas in and around us. So just wanted to provide that point of clarification in terms of next steps. I know 2 members of council are also serving on the working group, and the work that is going to be completed on September 28th is very minor in terms of that first complex trail, which is 260 meters. And as one of the members noted, people in the subdivision are using it as an informal trail now for their dogs. So you own these lands, you're liable for the lands already, so if you stop this, you'll have trespassers anyway. So I just wanted to note that these are lands that are being used now, and what this project allows us to do is to make sure that they're being used responsibly, and all the due diligence that by having staff involved can ensure, for instance, on insurance and risk and liability. So I just wanted to be clear on the purpose of the presentation, and I want to just reiterate, thank the members of the working group for their wonderful feedback and their perspective, staff for shepherding this, and then just want to clarify if council wants to change course, that it should do so as a notice of motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions from council towards the manager? Councillor Gray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. I also want to thank the volunteers for stepping up. Small towns like this need people like you guys and girls to step up and help out, so I really appreciate that. I just have a question for Ms., and I also want to thank Ms. Springer, but my question to her would be with regard to, I guess on slide 1, it says that the minister said the proposal was not a good match at this time and stage, but at the end of the slides, there was a note there that said that you're currently working with the provincial government or something to help with the full extent of the trail. So I just want a clarification on, is that two different things we're looking at? Or, because I think that to do the full thing and do it properly, that provincial help would be great. So if you could just clarify that, please.
Certainly, through the chair. I may have accidentally said the provincial government, but I believe I meant the federal government, specific to the library archives property that is out by the highway that is part of the proposal.
Sorry, I could have missed that too. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Sobolski?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I'll jump in with a few notes. First of all, again, thank you, everyone. There is a ton of work that's gone into this, and I do believe that this trail system is a needed asset in the town of Renfrew. That said, I am the guy that has been against this at this time, and will still voice my opinion that I am not in support of this works at this time. I do find there needs to be more information presented to us. I see ecological considerations with invasive species that we've learned tonight, so thank you, Tawny, about how damaging they can be. I see that, I hear cost, and I don't see any type of backing to understand what that's going to look like. Sorry, I'm just finding myself from my notes. I see in a slide on slide 11, no tax dollars proposed. We've heard it before. I don't like hearing that. I don't believe it, especially when a little bit further down there's a term used for fund matching. That means tax dollars. I just have a lot of memories going on of the town, and we're in a bad spot, hypothetically or potentially, that we don't have a ton of money. And I do want to see the trail go on, but right now it still scares me. So there's my 2 cents, and at this point I'm still not in support.
Thank you. Any other member of council? Councillor Anderdick?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, I too want to thank the volunteers and Ms. Springer for doing all this great work. It's absolutely amazing. And Mr. Edwards said something that hit home with me. He said he was raised in Renfrew and he explored all the, and so did I, and I've never been down in this area myself, and I thought I knew every trail. I just want to make it clear, and CEO Tremblay, you're going to have to answer this for me. When I voted on forming, when I voted yes on forming this working group, either it wasn't explained to me correctly or I misunderstood it. I thought we were voting to form a working group to come up with a plan, not an action. And I thought that plan was going to come back to council and we were going to vote on it. And from what I see here, that the work's starting on September 28th, and I don't ever remember voting on behalf of the taxpayers of Renfrew in building a trail. So if you could clarify that for me, because I'm a little confused and frustrated with this, because that was never explained to me when I was voting in favor of a working group, that we were going to move forward with this without council approval. And then I do have a couple more comments, but we could start there.
Certainly. So through you, Mr. Mayor, the working group is a working group to prepare the trail. So part of what you saw today is a reduced scope viewing with the resource constraints we have and the partnerships we have. So you're not seeing an entirety of a trail. You're seeing a little piece of trail that is existing and on current town land. Should council wish to direct us and the working group not to do that preliminary work, then as I said, you would direct us accordingly. But the purpose of a working group is to work. In this case, they've offered sweat and tears to go and do some of that work. They've done some analysis in terms of some of the invasive species. They've scoped in terms of working with partnerships. They've looked at phases, but there's no money in the budget specific to this. And I think the reference to matching funds would be, and we go to council before we apply for any grants, so council would be engaged in that process going forward. So the work to date is really just at no cost based on volunteer commitment on land that the town already does. So if council wishes to not proceed with the September 28th work, which I would note is limited in scope and volunteer base, then you would direct us accordingly. But I would say what we've presented you today is a good summary of the issues that have been encountered, how the group has worked through them, the backgrounds of the partners and of the volunteers, and the proposed scope of work going forward. But any additional work that would require any sort of additional effort from council for council approval would be forming part of the 2025 budget. But I would say the terms of reference are fairly broad in terms of the scope of looking at these trails. And again, just to reiterate, it's an existing, based on aerial footage, you could see that these are already lands that are being used for this purpose. But again, council can direct us at any time. Council can change its mind at any time. But I would recommend that, as I said, if you are not going to proceed with this initiative, it requires a number of things: ignoring your strategic plan, amending your corporate work plan, and repealing the formation of a working group that has reported to you on important progress on the initiative. So I would say the working group is doing what they're supposed to be doing and reporting to council accordingly. So we're not hiding anything.
Councillor Anderdick.
Okay, so then I must apologize to the taxpayers of Renfrew because I obviously didn't understand when I voted on this. Because you're saying now if I go back on this, I'm going against 3 different things. So that's on me for not asking the right questions at the right time. Because if I would have known that, I would have never voted in that favor. And there's been times in this chambers where we have passed motions and we've accepted bids and we've done things, but we've also come back and said, hey, 3 months ago we needed this, but 3 months later we don't need this. And we've gone back on the initial pass. So again, that's on me. I just want to touch on one thing that I find interesting. No tax dollars proposed for trail development other than staff time for project management, which is Ms. Springer's job, which is fine, and that's what she's hired to do, is do projects like this, and some specialized labor work, i.e. operation of a chainsaw and brush hog. So this means, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to take someone out of recreation or public works to do this job. Is that correct? Yes or no?
So that specialized work would be with in-house staff, and maybe maybe Manager Springer can speak to the work that's planned for September 28th. I think we're also referring to future work associated with the trail and future phases, but I don't know if she can confirm the scope of the work planned for the end of the month. Just to be clear, because if that work is not happening this year, I think it's important to understand what's planned actually at the end of the month.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure, I think it's a yes or no answer. Are we going to be taking staff from Public Works or the Recreation Department to cut trees down and bush hog? I think it's a yes or no answer.
So as noted, as part of this project, if that's required, yes, we have in-house resources to do it. What I'd like the manager to confirm is the scope of the work plan for this year at the end of this month, just to whether they would even be utilized.
Manager Springer.
Through the mayor. So yes, we would be taking somebody from Public Works for approximately 1 day's worth of labor to do the brush hog and remove down trees, which there is maybe a dozen, so one large one, and most of them are quite small. the manager of Public Works has been out to review the work that I'm requesting of Public Works and has described it as approximately 1 day's worth of work. The reason we have asked Public Works to do that is because they have training, and our insurance provider will not let volunteers that do not have training to operate, a chainsaw because of the health and safety concern.
Okay. If I can continue, Mayor Sidney? Yeah.
Couple more.
So, okay. So we were told 2 weeks ago that we didn't have the staff resources because they were too busy to flood an outdoor rink. But now we're being told we're not busy in Public Works, so we can take a staff member away for a day. And let's be honest, you're saying a day, but stuff grows, trees fall. And I feel that 1 day is just not enough. I think that's it. I do want to apologize to everybody because I know everybody's excited about this, and I want to make it clear that I was one of the first councillors that was in the discussion of this, and I was very excited about it, and I moved forward. I'm just getting a lot of mixed signals and misunderstanding, and that's on me for not asking the right questions. So I'm good. I'm going to leave it at that, Mayor Sidney. Thank you for your time on this.
Thanks.
And I appreciate it.
Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, to Ms. Springer. I just have a question with the $25,000 seed money that the town received from the Shad Foundation. So if this wasn't to go through, is there any terms or conditions, timelines or anything that's kind of tied to the $25,000, or how does that work if the project is delayed or doesn't proceed to go forward?
Through the mayor, we currently have not spent any of the money. The treasurer has been in the discussions of how to use the money and making sure we're meeting all of our requirements for everything. So if there was delays, that's not an issue unless those delays were quite significant. If the delays, if we didn't use, if we basically canceled the project, that money would go back to the Shad Foundation.
Thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And I'm part of the working group with this, along with Councillor McWhorter. And I'm just wondering, it's a delegation presentation, but there's enough questions here. Maybe we should have another venue where we can look at this. And to your point, CEO, maybe notice a motion if we need to, just to clarify and firm up stuff. I'm just throwing that out there because we're getting into more than just a delegation presentation.
I agree.
Certainly, and through you, Mr. Mayor, the only time crunch is the work that's planned at the end of the month. But again, if a notice of motion is brought forward, that would be discussed on the 24th, and then at that time, council can direct staff accordingly. And as I said, staff can direct us whichever way it chooses. But as I said, the working group was created through bylaw. We'd have, if depending on whether you're pausing this project or reconsidering this project, there are a number of things that would need to occur to change course.
All right. So, Revimo?
Thank you. Just so I can get some things clear in my head, the trails, what kind of width are we talking about? I was involved in trails in a past life, and we had a shoulder width in essence, was the idea for the trails, so that it would have minimum impact. Is that kind of what we're looking at when you're going through the areas where there's woods, forest? Bush is what I refer to it normally.
Through the mayor, that top center photo there that's on the screen kind of shows what the trail would look like. That is a bit of a deer path right now. We would basically follow that. It would be 2 feet wide. It is looking to be a minimal impact, not something like we have at Mattaway that accommodates cross-country running and skiing, not something like the Millennium Trail that accommodates ATVs, very much a footpath.
Great, thank you. And if I might, I believe there's a standard for marking and rating the trails. Would you be pursuing that kind of a setup as well?
Through the mayor, the Bruce Trail has provided us with a lot of their documentation, their trail building guides, their trail assessment documents, those types of things. So we would follow for the most part, follow what they recommend in terms of how to mark the trail, how to assess the trail, and that sort. In terms of like difficulty ratings, typically a lot of that is done just by the public through like online apps and stuff. All Trails is an example. I would say like for this area, this might be like an easy to a moderate trail. But in terms of all of the trails across Canada, you know, going up mountains and stuff, it's an easy trail.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And if I might again, and you talk about picnic tables and benches. Is that at the trailhead, or is that along the route, and then down at the bottom? I'm guessing from where it looks like a meadow.
Through the mayor, we haven't fully looked at all locations, but you will see on the last map that is shown that down on the peninsula there's like a little icon with a tree, and that is being proposed as a picnic area just because there's a natural opening there, and it is on the peninsula right next to the water. So that was proposed as a good area for a picnic table. There's other couple areas that might be great for benches. We have a couple lookouts that are also on that map, but benches don't necessarily have to be like park benches. They could be a log that is, you know, maybe engineered a bit to or placed strategically to provide a sitting area. So it's not necessarily like built infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. And if I could just inject one note of caution, when I've been involved in them in the past, we've often underestimated the parking lot size or parking, and I speak specifically of Eagle's Nest in Calabogie or in Greater Madawaska and Manitou Mountain, where we estimated 12 to 15 cars, and we ended up with 200. So it's just, you know, that's one thing to consider when you're putting your parking lot, so that it allows for some kind of expansion.
Through the mayor. So our current trailhead is looking at the Forest View Crescent pumping station, and there is an area there for a few cars. Additionally, right beside the pumping area is a grassy area that could accommodate a very small gravel parking lot. Couldn't be paved because of the underground infrastructure. But also on that map there's the purple trail that goes over to the Hall Avenue, Gillen Road intersection, and there's plenty of area there for parking, which is a future, you know, consideration.
Thank you. And my final question would be to the treasurer. My understanding is that should someone want to make a donation, that the town has the ability to issue a tax receipt. If that's the case, my understanding again is that we might have to pass a bylaw which would form a relationship with this working group to move the funds to them. Is that correct, or am I not remembering it probably or possibly?
Through you, Chair. So yes, we can issue tax receipts. I'm not sure I understand your other question, though, with regards to transferring the funds to a separate entity.
Yes.
So the working group, as an example. I think whatever expenses that would come, it would come through the town and not be sent to a separate entity. They're not going to, my understanding is they're not incurring the expenses. Those expenses would be incurred through the town and would be reimbursed through the funds that are collected. And currently we have the $25,000 from the Shad Foundation and any donations that could go towards that as well.
Great, thank you. And just finally, this trail, I'm assuming, will not go too close to the property lines with with Stevenson Crescent, some of the areas of concern. And with that, should there be any cutoffs that become established, we'd work to ensure that they were blockaded and noticed.
Through the mayor, the current proposal is over a kilometer away from Stevenson Crescent. That being said, there is a large chunk of property between this area and Stevenson Crescent that is privately owned from an out-of-town property owner that is interested in working with the town. That is as far as we've gotten. If that interest became more serious, then we are definitely getting closer to Stevenson Crescent. And as I mentioned, as shown on the drone footage, there's existing trails that go through those properties that people are aware of. That is because there's a sewer easement that runs through that area. And when the sewer was put in, they put heavy equipment through there and basically made this trail. It is already gated. People go around the gate. Again, gates are only so effective. So, you know, it would be difficult, but not impossible. You know, we would be hopeful that the folks on Stevenson Crescent would be interested at that time, but that may also not be possible.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to the working group and to the volunteers. It's an exciting time for you. It's a lot of fun, and it builds a great relationship. So congratulations, and thanks for your help.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you and perhaps to the manager, I just want to be very clear. Stevenson Crescent has come here and done a delegation, and there is no interest at this time. So just for their purposes, we acknowledge that, and we're not here to take private property and sort of put ourselves in there, just to confirm that. And I know you agree with that, but I just want it on public record. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think we're able to move on now. I just want to thank the volunteers for your time, your dedication. I know there's a lot of passion here, and you know, I appreciate your in-depth work that you've done. I think, you know, not to sound light on it, but you know, great, we got a working group that wants to build a trail, and then we see, you know, we have a manager that's brilliant in this area. We have Tawny, who's brilliant in this area, teachers that are able to do this, people that are passionate about the environment, and we're learning about, you know, species, trees. Like, it's not just let's go bushwhacking to make a trail like we used to do go skiing. You know, so I think it's just important to note the amount of effort and work that you've put in, and the knowledge of the great lengths you've gone to make sure that you're doing all the right things. And I want to highlight that I really appreciate that, because I think it's important for that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for speaking with us, putting this together. I appreciate it. And I look forward to the future, but yeah, thanks. All right. Yeah, you're allowed to go. Moving on to C3. What's that? Mm-hmm. The motion reads that Renfrew Town Council accept the quarterly administration report, January to June 2024, and 2024 corporate work plan mid-year update. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor McDonald. I will turn it over to CAO Tremblay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to thank Council's patience. We've committed to providing greater transparency in terms of the activities of staff, and I know under the old standing committee model, some of the departments and work units were providing regular stats, but this will be an opportunity to provide one consolidated report outlining all the work that staff does. My covering memo just reiterates that we do work for council, and our role as staff is to support council by providing advice, but also implementing the decisions of council. And I also want to just point out that the corporate work plan mid-year update is attached at the back of the document. You'll recall that there's 10 major areas of focus in this year's work plan, so it's a lot of work in 1 year, and there's a total of 101 individual objectives that are noted. And I would just note that despite the year that we've had and the stuff we've dealt with, staff have diligently done the work, and I just want to thank all of the staff for the wonderful work. Hopefully this report is a small reflection of all of what they do on a day-to-day basis, but I just want to reiterate my thanks to them for that. I just want to point out in terms of next steps, each of the departments will provide just some key highlights on the report. But before I pass it along, I just want to, each of these reports, so these will come kind of each quarter will be covered. We covered 2 this time just because we were putting it together. But so basically you're going to see the next quarter will run from July, August, and September. So likely end of October or early November, you'll get the 3rd quarter report. And in each report, we're going to provide a staff spotlight. So I just want to highlight the wonderful work of the community services team, Carrie Cunningham, Janine Fraser, Donna McWhorter, and Kelly Latondres. And also Janine is now responsible for the customer service representatives out at Mattaway. So they're really important in terms of kind of the lifeblood of the community, the wonderful programs we have. So just wanted to recognize them. And secondly, the 2024 Staff Service Awards. So we recognize staff for every 5 years of service. I'll just highlight a few people that are in the room, but also Sharon at 35 years as a library technician, but in this room, Michael Guest for 20 years of service and Eric Withers for 5 years of service. And so thanks to them and to everybody on this list for the work that they do. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the work plan later. And so for the Office of the CAO and Town Clerk, so I don't talk so much, the Town Clerk will just highlight a few key items. And what we'll do, Mr. Mayor, is then go to the next department where they're going to highlight some key things. And I know there's a lot of information in this report. Any questions council has, we'll gladly take them. Or if there's any questions following a detailed read of the document, we'll take those at any time.
Great, thanks. I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Okay, through you, Chair. So as CAO Tremblay mentioned, this will be brief because we will be here all night. I know my strengths, so I can't scroll and talk and do this at the same time. I'm good, but not that good. So basically, just as a quick highlight for both the CAO, the clerks, as well as the communications, we've been kind of working on a number of files, everything from leases to structural reviews to many human resources, records management, accessibility, new communication plans, as well as kind of the implementation of the new Renfrew website with the launch of also an engagement / complaint feedback portal through our website. One of the kind of the big highlights I would say is, and this was new to the town of Renfrew as well as the entire province this year, was the implementation of the new Renfrew Police Service Board. That was a big one. It was a big transfer. Definitely has been consuming of my time back in the spring, but it is certainly kind of a new path forward, which has been both fun legislatively wise to move forward with, but as well as challenging at the same time. So again, very, very high. There's lots of really good content in here, so I do encourage both yourselves as well as the public to kind of review. Lots of fun statistics about death, marriage, committee meetings, council meetings. You will notice as you go through that we spend a lot of time in this room. I love it. I'm not sure if you guys do, but I do enjoy my time here with you guys. And then just looking ahead, again, lots of work still planned for the rest of the year. And again, record management certainly is a big project on my end, something that we've learned from the Mattaway third-party review. So I want to thank both the CAO for his mentorship as well as my team. We've got a new deputy clerk in place who has just really just started diving in this week, as well as a fantastic communications coordinator as well. So we're rocking pretty strong.
Excellent, thank you. And now over to finance and client services.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a few things that I wanted to highlight, and I think they're good moving forward. The user fees were updated in 2024, and we'll continue to update those during the budget process. So they'll get updated again in 2025 and every year thereafter to make sure that we are ensuring that the user fees are current and don't get behind. Operating and training procedures for customer service reps, budget, asset management, and financial softwares have been purchased. The asset management software is now fully in place, and we have been fully trained on the asset management software. Financial software is coming probably in October, according to the last email I received. Corporate reports for the town's financial is new for the town, and that is being updated for capital projects monthly, and for overall operating, it's quarterly. With regards to the budget to actuals right now, we do show a deficit right now, but that's to June, so we have to be cognizant of the fact that final billing went out in August, so all those funds that we collect for taxes will be reflected in the next quarter, as well as grants that we don't receive, as well as transfers from reserves for different projects. Those all get done closer to the end of the year. The sewer budget, however, is showing a surplus, and water budget is also showing a surplus, and the billing is up to date because the billing goes out and gets posted. Billing goes out in July for April, May, and June, but it's posted back to June, so those revenues are reflected in June, so for both water and sewer. Receivables, so we have a tax receivables remaining outstanding. We have started the tax sale process for any properties that are 2 years and over, and that will be soon coming out as far as tax registrations and when those sales probably won't occur for a year, but it has encouraged a lot of properties to pay up as well. I'll look ahead. We did talk about the 2025 budget. That may be pushed back. We will need to talk about that with regards to a new CAO coming in place and what council's expectation is with regards to that, and to be fair to a new CAO moving forward. And I'm okay with that. But anyways, the GL structure is still being worked on. It's almost finalized and has to be finalized by the end of September, so that the financial software can be put in place. We're continuing to review best practices and implementing some new financial information for the staff. We're looking at the staff complement as well, and who does what, and how those duties can be shifted around to make sure that it's not all compounded on, say the deputy treasurer to do certain things. But there has been some changes over the years since Rob has been here with regards to staffing and their job descriptions, and now it's to make sure that those job descriptions are implemented and they're actually doing what they are, should be doing compared to what they've always done in the past, and we're working through that as well. We're also part of the asset management working group, and it is in the very early stages, and there is a lot of work to be done on asset management, and we look forward to completing that with the group that we have in place today. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Community and Recreation Services and the library.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I was told to be quick. Not sure that's going to happen. So, do my best. First of all, I don't know if anybody knows, but we actually closed the Recreation Center and now have a fully operational MyFM Center. So that's consumed a little bit of time. Both ice pads, for the first time, we're going to start our first season with 2 fully operational ice pads, and the building at full swing, so it's going to be interesting. We got some staff educated, they got their certifications and playground inspections, so that started in May. And we had council approve new staff positions, which were badly needed. Thank you very much, council. So that has really helped get everything running much more efficiently over with the recreation department. Community services, we finished the 3-year action plan to support equity, diversity, and inclusion in the town, and we will be bringing forward, we'll be starting to implement some of the things that were suggested in the CSMRE plan. We had an MOU with the Youth Wellness Hub completed. We signed an updated MOU with the Golden Age Activity Center. The grants to community partners supported 7 nonprofit organizations so far, with another round coming up. Very successful Winter Carnival, Fruit Fest. Community Services team is amazing, as was highlighted earlier. Can't say enough about those folks. They definitely, there's a reason I'm smiling really, really broadly in the photo under the staff spotlight. They're great. We've had the camps went off fully. They were full with waiting lists. We had inclusion counselors for the first time, which was excellent, and continue to work with community living. We were nominated, the town was nominated for the Ottawa Valley Tourism Awards for the Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival, and I mentioned that because the next one is coming up on September 28th, and we hope to see everybody there. We also continue to work with the Renfrew District Food Bank, opening up 4 new plots for them at the community gardens, bringing their total up to, I believe, 29 plots, what they currently have. Canada Day was very successful. On to the museum. We took over operations of the museum this year, which has gone very well. The Renfrew District Historical and Museum Society retained ownership of the collection, but all the operations moved to the town. And we also moved visitor information out there as a pilot this year with the students that were also working at the museum, and it was a success. So we're hoping to implement a full and proper plan next year for visitor tourism, tourism and visitor information. We've got a full-time curator archivist, which has been a real asset for the town. We had 6 summer students work at the museum. We have new windows at the museum. We had updated internet, which they are really happy about, so that's been great. And then the museum is now, something as small as installing a bicycle rack was able to get them on the Renfrew County cycling map, so that was great. I'll let everyone look at the key statistics, but the fob swipes at the fitness center are pretty impressive. 3,792 just for the month of April. I think there's a little boo-boo with the court access because they're the exact same numbers, which I noticed today, as the fitness center, so I will look at those numbers and update them down the road. Tennis pickleball court bookings is another one at 1,546 hours, which is a lot of use as well. What page am I at here? For the programs, just noting the one at the end of bottom of the page, 1,774 total registrations between April 1st and June 30th, which is a 700% increase from 2023. We offered 40 different programs with 71 sessions. So programming continues to be very well received in the town. The museum, in the second quarter, had 273 visitors, and for the first time, the museum's actually staying open until the end of September, and there's actually a couple of groups that are going to be visiting during that time, so that's been great. Looking ahead, again, as I noted, we're going into our first season with fully functional MyFM Center and Mattaway Park area. A lot of the look-aheads in community service has already been done. They did a really successful Canada Day. They're planning the craft beer and food truck. I should note too, the community services team does the program guides. Carrie puts those together. They all work. We have staff from the library and community services works together, and those have been a game changer when it comes to people being able to find out what's going on in all the different areas. Okay, let's see. On to the library. I will do this very quickly. Yeah.
Councilor Dick?
Are we allowed to ask a question? Because I thought you said we could. Just a quick question. I'm sorry. Thank you, through your mayor. Yeah. So the tourism booth, we closed the tourism booth and moved it to McDougall Museum, and you said it was very successful. I know last year in 2023, we had 1 visitor out at the tourism booth. Is that correct? So I'm just wondering, do you know how many people actually showed up at the museum for tourism information this year? If you don't, that's okay.
Through you, Mayor, not off the top of my head. But
Okay.
I think they were keeping track of how many requests, and I'm going to come forward with a full report
Okay.
and plan for council to review, and I'm hoping to have some numbers in there.
Okay,
at that
that's
time.
awesome. And
I think it was more than one.
agreed. And real quick, I'm probably not allowed to say this, but we did put a motion forward to change the name of the old tourist booth. I'm just wondering where that is. Maybe I can get an email tomorrow. Sorry, Kelly.
Through you, Mayor, that's on my plate. I got it. It will be part of the report I'm hoping to bring forward, and I have some ideas. It's there, and I have the results from that survey we put out.
Perfect. On to the library.
Okay, real quick on the library. Okay. Again, the program guides was the big one. We got the Trillium grant to redo the front end, all the entrances for the library. So I'm sure people have noticed the main entrance has been done, as well as the sidewalk leading up to the side entrance. We're waiting on the doors to replace the other two entrances. The heritage doors are not being touched. I've been asked that several times. We're not touching them. The programming has been really popular. The library is collaborating with Meta Employment Services through Employment Ontario. They reached out to us so people can actually go into the library and make appointments to have virtual consultations with people from Employment Ontario. We have a designated computer, designated everything, so they can just show up and the library staff can help them book an appointment. Also, just to note that Maggie, the chief librarian, had a successful application to the Canadian Federation of University Women and received $4,000 for an astronomy project, which has allowed us to purchase telescopes, books, run programs. So it's been, we're still kind of implementing, trying to get all the equipment ready to go, but it's been great, and there will be more programs forthcoming on how to use the equipment and stuff. And just a note on the stats, because nobody ever believes that people still use the library. RPL welcomed over 18,900 visitors in the first and second quarter, which is an increase of almost 15% in quarter one and 10% in quarter two. And I would like to also add, we have brand new tracking system in the library, so it is accurate. We added 160 new library patrons in quarter one and 170 in the second quarter. And having a look at the circulation, just of physical items, we had 11,476 borrowed in first quarter and 11,681 in the second. And the last thing I'm going to mention is 38 class visits in the first quarter and 35 in the second quarter, with a total of 1,355 students attending. So the library is still busy and still well used. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And now I'll turn it over to Development, Environment, and Infrastructure for a brief update.
I'll keep it brief. Although I do have the largest department in Q1 and Q2.
That's kind of why I said that.
You know, we have a great team, I think, just across the corporation. So just kudos to all the staff and all, you know, in many cases doing, you know, just good, quiet work. And, you know, the machinery of the town, you know, it happens until you notice that it's not happening, and then you realize, oh, that work was pretty important. And so yeah, just kudos. Yeah, so our department in Q1, Q2 of this year looked a little different than it does now. We had building services, environmental services, planning services, infrastructure and public works, facilities and real estate, and public works. So quite a lot going on in the department. Building services, I'll just say another one of those business units of the corporation that if you're not hearing about it, things are going well. And so we have a really good CBO, and it's really nice to not have to worry about what's going on there. permit activity is going well. It's staying relatively consistent over the last few years, and we're seeing a bit of a return to trend, but the economic environment is still a bit challenging, so you can't really push a rope, as they say. Some of that you just have to wait till it comes in, but we are still seeing some good activity. Environmental services, biggest thing this year was the aqua contract and that changeover, figuring out a bit of who's doing what, getting used to their processes, how they operate. I'm trying to say it's gone relatively smoothly. Speaking for the manager, they seem to know what they're doing. They seem to have some familiarity with the assets and with not just our plants, but our linear infrastructure. So that's going relatively well. We've had to kind of test our mettle a little bit with a few water main breaks. We had a real good one out in the Airth area, and that was that was a good test of kind of how things are working. Just other things on environmental services, continuing at the landfill. We've got a new landfill access road, continuing to sort out how the remediation work is going to go with the slopes, and that's moving right along. Planning services, I have to admit, a lot of my attention has been diverted from my bread and butter and my planning and development, but just kind of moving a lot of our files along, and have great support from our planning and building administrator in doing so. So that's been great. And then, moving forward, our planning projects, our official plan review, our Renfrew secondary plan in tandem with the Whitten Road closure and realignment EA. So those have been moving right along. Infrastructure and public works, we've got two major construction projects, Argyle, Lockhill, and O'Brien Road. Both are moving along, as most people can see out there. 8th and Dominion will be getting underway shortly. And of course, Stevenson and 7th are moving, the design's been finalized. Those will be ready to go next year. Other design projects, there's a number of them, I won't go through it there. Facilities and real estate, biggest thing with facilities and real estate, just continuing along with One Innovation. Leases are in place all around, so that's great. 210 ready, getting that agreement of purchase and sale executed, and that's moving through the conditions clearance phase. Just in terms of key statistics, you can kind of see where we're at with building and planning and environmental services, infrastructure, and public works. I won't get into too much detail there. Things are moving along nicely. And we look forward to continuing just a bit of a different look back to planning, building, environmental services, and then of course the council's direction, maybe kind of a bit of a new look department for the infrastructure and public works side moving forward. So that'll be all for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to note to the director, I know we tease you a lot about that, but we do appreciate your expertise and your leadership, and you did a fantastic job because it is a lot of information in here, so thank you for that. On to fire, emergency, and protective services.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So since we're the last department, this will be the longest one. I will purposely read this line by line. No, I'm just kidding. So we had some key documents completed, very important documents, including the master fire plan, the establishing regulating bylaw, community risk assessment, and the community safety and well-being plan. And speaking in terms of training for our fire crews, as you can see, our firefighters are continuously training and honing their skill sets to ensure that we do provide the best level of service for our citizens. And like any industry, it's continuously changing. And speaking to auto extrication, technology changes. So with that, we have to continuously train and change the way that we do business. Public education, it's always a focus for our department. As such, we utilize all the various avenues and team resources. Some of the topics that we covered in Q1, Q2, removing snow from around hydrants, safe cooking, carbon monoxide, safety tips, and cottage and RV safety tips as well. I think it's important to note that our crews are out in the town conducting smoke alarm door-to-door program for our citizens. It is voluntary to let them in. However, I think it's very important. It provides not only peace of mind for the residents, but our crews also provide, other initiatives when they're in the house. So I think it's a great program. Bylaw services. So as you know, Bylaw transitioned to in-house, and we did hire a bylaw officer in January of 2024. He's been very busy with proactive enforcement, dealing with property standards and clean yards. Both the bylaw officer and our protective services coordinator also completed some online training. They completed the bylaw officer core competency program to provide a better understanding of the laws and legislation. Emergency management, again, some public education initiatives. And this speaks to winter driving, which hopefully we don't see this for another few months. This year, Emergency Preparedness Week ran from May 5th through 11th, with the theme being Be Prepared, Know Your Risks. And obviously we shared some tips. Make a plan, build a kit, and be informed. We find a lot of people don't have basic emergency preparedness kits ready. Speaking of the town of Renfrew crossing guards, so basically we have 8 crossing guards and 8 locations. They work approximately 2 hours per day. Very, very important roles. Crossing guards are valued and appreciated. As you're aware, they safeguard our children and aid in getting them safely to school. This year they are a little bit busier than normal as we're having some busing issues. And you can see, I won't read through them, but we also have listed the locations where they're located throughout the town. Quickly through some fire stats. There were a total of 111 emergency responses between January and June. That's up from 96 from the previous year. A total of 84 recreational outdoor burn permits have been issued to date. Some bylaw stats, a total of 497 parking tickets were issued between January and June. That's up from 319 the previous year. We did have some animal control calls, approximately 73 complaints regarding various animals. I'll briefly touch on 2 of the working groups. So we have the Corporate Joint Health and Safety Team. We had our first meeting in May. The team reviewed the terms of reference, the roles and responsibilities, the Health and Safety Board requirements, and workplace inspection, as well as any immediate health and safety concerns. Emergency Management Working Group, we also met, and our team reviewed the town's hazard identification and critical infrastructure. This is a requirement. We also discussed the annual emergency exercise and emergency preparedness. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council on any of this? Read
Thank you. I have 2. One from Director Withers. On page 24, environmental services, it says $206,000 in tipping fees collected at the landfill site and 7,400 transactions. Is that trending in the same direction as previous years? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have directed it to, I'm sorry. Ms. Springer, thank you. Oh, the treasurer too? Okay, great. Everybody can wait in.
Whoever wants to jump on it.
Sorry, I was trying to tell them that it was hot in here.
You can tell we've been here for a while.
You can get back to me. Thank you.
Manager Springer, do you have a... answer to that?
So the budget that we were looking at, I can't exactly remember the number, but it was in the low $400,000 range. So that 6 months is just over 200,000. So we're pretty close. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then one question for Chief Guest. I know when we instituted the recreational burn bylaw on page 31, it says here there's been a total of 84 permits listed. Have there been, or issued, have there been any issues around those? Because I think that was a concern when we initiated that program.
Thank you, through the mayor. So that number is consistent with the past 4 to 5 years. And to answer your question, we don't get a lot of complaints. The smoke migration seems to be the biggest issue. If you have kind of a lot of down pressure, smoke can potentially migrate into your neighbor's house. But there isn't a lot of complaints that we receive.
Good news. Thank you very much.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Just a comment to the public. I'm sure every councillor gets this, and they're always asking, what does our staff do? What does our staff do? Why are we paying them this much money? This right here is a huge explanation of what our staff does in the town. So I strongly suggest to any resident or taxpayer of the town of Renfrew to go online, read this report. Good job. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? I too want to say great job on this. It's great to see it. You see the amount of work that you all put in, and your staff, and the engagement with the community, and I just want you to please pass on our gratitude to your staff for their hard work, as well as for your leadership and everything. I think I can speak on behalf of council that we appreciate everything you do and your staff does to make this town look and function as good as it does. So thank you very much. All right. I need a motion to receive this report. Oh, I did already?
Yeah, just
Oh, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to announcements, just to let the community know that September 21st has been proclaimed National Recovery Day in the Ottawa Valley. There will be stuff going on at Low Square that day, speeches, a lot of service providers will be down explaining what they do, so I just want the public to know that. And the Renfrew Area Chamber of Commerce Pinnacle of Business Excellence Award nominations. Deadline is this coming Monday to nominate, and I'm just going to quickly read out the the list of what you can nominate people for, because I know it's different from other years. So there's Business of the Year, Breakout Business of the Year, Lifetime Achievement Award, Employee of the Year, Youth Employee of the Year, Young Entrepreneur of the Year, and Hospitality Award. So I encourage you to go on either the Renfrew Area Chamber website or their Facebook page to get more details on that. But if you know of anybody that deserves to be nominated, please do so before Monday. And Councillor Andrew Dick.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, and through you. On the Recovery Day thing, it says at the top September 21st, 2024, but then on the bottom it says, I, Tom Sidney, Mayor of the City of Renfrew, do hereby proclaim September 22nd Recovery Day in Pembroke.
Yeah, so
just some typos?
The organizers sent us those, so it is the 21st in Renfrew.
Okay.
And I believe it's the 22nd in Pembroke.
Got you. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Thank you for picking that up. I forgot to mention it. Moving on to reports arising from discussion. Reminding council these were at Committee of the Whole. So I'm going on to Development, Environment and Infrastructure, D1.1. And the motion is that Renfrew Town Council adopt Ontario Regulation 23902, minimum maintenance standards for municipal highways as amended from time to time as the Town of Renfrew Municipal Road level of service. Further, Ontario Regulation 23902 does not apply to Class 6 highways under the regulation. Therefore, all Class 6 highways within the Town of Renfrew shall be maintained in accordance with Class 5 highways under the regulation. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, second by Councillor McWhirter. Any clarification council needs from Committee of the Whole? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. On to D.1.2. Declaration of significant weather event policy. The Renfrew Town Council adopt a declaration of significant weather event policy. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McWhirter. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. These are new. And moving on to Finance Client Services, D.2.1 capital budget to actual, January to August 2024. This did not go to Committee of the Whole. The Renfrew Town Council received this report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Legree, and I will turn it over to our Treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. Just to go through this, so this is an updated list with all the capital projects from January to the end of August. We've outlined it very similar to exactly the same, actually, as what we did in June, presenting it to the end of May, I believe, just to update council on all these projects that we continue to move forward with, and some of them are 100% complete, some of them are almost complete, and some of them have been put on hold pursuant to the report that went to council this month. Is there any questions with regards to any of these projects? We can try to answer them. I think most of the staff members are here.
Any questions from Councillor Spolsky?
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and apologies for not finding it or maybe not seeing it, but the manganese project for our water treatment facility, is this in here?
The what, sorry?
It was a treatment system that we put in for the manganese for the water that I don't know how to say it. It was for the water treatment facility. Manganese.
Manganese. Water. So it is on page 3 of the report. The water treatment plant manganese treatment center. It's in the blue section under DEE, the first one at the closer to the bottom of the page. And it is over budget at this time, and the status is to be confirmed at a later date at the next project. Sorry, yes, the budget, it's hard when you have to scroll up and down. I guess I'm kind of like the clerk. Scrolling and talking at the same time is not good. Yes, so the budget, I thought the budget was 339, but the budget is 550. Actual cost to the end of August are 506,000. So no, we are not over budget. We are under budget at this time. Perhaps Amanda can comment on that.
Through the mayor, so the project is probably getting close to like 95% complete. They have everything together. They're just doing the commissioning and the testing at this point, and there was a slight delay with that because some of the testing solutions were expired, so they had to order new ones, but it should be online before the end of the year. It's very, very close.
Any other questions for staff? Councillor Anderdick?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. And as always, I got a chance to ask this question, and I'm going to ask it again. Has the RFP gone out for the fencing down at the museum? Because it says here, hoping to have RFP out by end of August. So I'm just wondering if it's gone out.
I'm going to turn it over to...
Sorry.
Director of Community Services.
Yes, it has. It is, actually. It is. I believe the site visit is next week, and yeah, it's on target.
Perfect. Councillor McWhirter?
Through you, Mayor. Item page 3 also, right at the very bottom, Mattaway Trails gravel parking. It's actually 3 times what we budgeted for. Was the budget just an estimate, or did we actually have that estimated by somebody? Because it was estimated at 10,000 is 32. It's complete, but we're 3 times the price.
CAO?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just because Director Collins isn't here, we've factored in the labor costs of our own time, which historically we haven't budgeted on the capital side for staff time. The actual materials were less than anticipated. We were anticipating $10,000 of material. It was actually $2,655, but we did track the staff time because one of the things we heard from the Mattaway third-party report was starting to track staff time on capital. So technically we're within budget, but we're showing what it costs for staff to do it. So it's open, it can be used, it provides access off of Opiongo, and it is complete.
So going forward, we're going to capture that every time we do an estimate, because there's still a cost involved. Obviously, staff have to be paid. So that's something we're going to do going forward.
Treasurer?
So we could, so all the staff time has been budgeted for in the operational budget. So it should appear that the staff time in operational will be less and the capital will be, obviously hasn't been budgeted here. We hope to budget that in the future, but currently now we are recording according to what is required under PSAB to record the staff time in the actual project. So yes, I would hope that when projects come, and I am working on a template for capital projects that will include labor costs and any other operational costs moving forward, but to capture all of those costs and not just the materials in this case. You're welcome.
Right. Any other questions? Hearing none. I just have a question that I keep getting asked, and I keep forgetting to ask the director. Director Withers, is there a second asphalt layer going on O'Brien Road at the roundabout, or is that it? Do you know?
It would just be base at this time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's still the final one to go on?
That's right.
Yeah, because a lot of people were asking me because there's a bit of a dip and they were getting confused.
That's right.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor? Carried, thank you, Council. Moving on to D.2.2, operating budget actuals, January to June. That Renfrew Town Council received this report as information. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Sobalski, and I will turn it back over to the Treasurer.
So again, this is quarterly, so this is January to June report that is reflective. I've outlined, jeepers, this is hard to see, I agree, when you're on the computer. And I meant to provide the actual physical copies to council so that they can review that. But overall, mostly everything is on budget. There are some variances that are easily explainable. Obviously, transfer to reserves don't happen until the end of the year. Some of the revenue streams, like taxation, isn't recorded until late July, early August for the final billing, so you won't see that. The total water and sanitary sewer is in an overall surplus at this time. And it is on par for what we've billed as well, like I said, in our quarterly report in the administration end of things. So we're in good shape, and I don't see anything drastic happening right now. So I'm hoping that we'll stay in good shape for the end of the year, and the next report will be reflected so in October, for probably the last meeting in October for the end of September for the operations, but the next capital update will be in October for up to date into the end of September.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? Councilor McWhorter?
Through you, Worship, for Treasurer Jackson. Is this format the part of the new software that we're implementing, or is it the old? And will the new actually take the actual budget when it's completed from 1 year and plug it into the new budget, which would make it easier for, I would think, departments? You could budget your revenue, you could budget based on the year before, and that would be your guide going forward. Is that the idea of the new software?
Yes, the new software will come out with, so you have to identify what is a one-time event. If you're purchasing I don't know, a desk, because you've a desk and office equipment for a new staff member, as a quick example. Well, you're not going to purchase that every year, so you would put that under a column of one-time expense, and or a one-time revenue where you're receiving grant funding for an offsetting grant that you've applied for. That would be a one-time event. So those get backed out moving forward into the next year, and then you have your standard previous year's budget becomes the next year's starting point, but having backed out those other things as well. Also, it can identify that if there's a service level increase, so we've just, taken on a huge subdivision, and obviously our snow plowing is going to go up, or our road maintenance will go up because of this new subdivision that could affect winter operations, as an example, then that level of service increase will go there. Or if council decides to increase the level of service on any item that they're doing with Public Works or Recreation, that gets identified, but then gets rolled into the budget moving forward as the starting point for 2025, as an example. So those items are easily identified, which is really nice, that because I've found over time a lot of municipalities miss out on those opportunities, and to reduce the budget, that they've budgeted a one-time event and then all of a sudden it gets rolled in forward to the next year, and you keep budgeting that amount every year moving forward, and staff think they've got a windfall and they're going to spend it. So it kind of controls that spending allocation, as well as any one-time revenues and service level increases and all that. So council can make those decisions moving forward, which is going to be helpful. And by pushing the budget process off, I think, until a new CAO is here, that will allow us to show that information properly in the budget software program. And I'm really hoping and anticipating that it will be all in play by then, and that we're not rushing to making sure that we can compare what we had before to what we're moving forward with.
And just to add, yes, this is finance staff pulling data into an Excel spreadsheet to be able to do the analysis, to be able to present it to council. So those 3 pieces of software that the team's implementing will save time and provide better reporting to council as well. So kudos to the team for lumping this in and providing us with a sense of the fiscal picture.
Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to Library, Community, and Recreation. Moving on to Library, Community, and Recreation Services, D.4.1, the adoption of the Parks, Recreation Master Plan and Waterfront Master Plan. This was at the Committee of the Whole as well. The Renfrew Town Council adopt the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and Waterfront Master Plan as a guiding document. Mover, please. Councillor Andrew Dick, second by Councillor Sobalski. Any further questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to Office of the CEO and Town Clerk. Again, this also was at the Committee of the Whole. I'm referencing that so that if people want to go back and see, they can see it. And the motion is that Renfrew Town Council receive the Records and Information Management Assessment Follow-Up Report as information, and further that staff be directed to follow through with minor recommendations and bring forward items requiring budgetary considerations for 2025. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Andrew Dick. Any clarification or any further things? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you, council. That's carried. D.5.2 again, Committee of the Whole. That Renfrew Town Council passed the proposed resolution requesting the province to update the Municipal Elections Act with priority amendments as outlined by AMCTO before summer of 2025 and commence work to review and rewrite the MEA with longer-term recommendations ahead of the 2030 elections. Mover, please. Councillor McWhirter, second by Councillor Legree. Any questions, clarifications? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. On to external boards. For Renfrew County Council summary, August 28th, 2024. Revimo, do you have something?
Thank you. Just a couple of things to point out. August the 2nd, I attended the groundbreaking for the Four Seasons Lodge in Deep River. It's 96 beds. It replaces the older one, which was 14 beds. If you have the opportunity, you may want to take a look at that campus around the Deep River Hospital. They're going with this unit, and then they're also developing a family health team in a separate building that's close by. So they've spent a lot of time thinking about what they're going to do and have now started to implement their plan. I should note something. We introduced Deputy Mayor Dana Proctor from the Township of Horton, and she's taken over for I'm sorry, she's the alternate member for Mayor Dave Bennett, who is ill at this point. So we'd like to wish Mayor Bennett well as he travels on his health journey. Delegations, OVTA produced a report for us. It was very interesting, and it's on our website. And just going through to. I apologize. I had this printed, but I left it in the briefcase. I just grabbed this laptop. I don't think there's anything there was a lot of work, but nothing that really stands out that you don't already know. With that, I think that's all I'm reporting.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the Reeve? Hearing none. More communications and petitions. AMO policy update. Oh, sorry, missed one. Township of Whitewater Region request for support, FCM.
Minutes, F.
Oh, F, sorry. I meant the letter. Sorry. The Renfrew Town Council confirmed the minutes of the regular meeting. Dated August 29, 2024, the Committee of the Whole meeting. December 3rd, 2024, and the closed meeting minutes of regular meeting of council dated 27th, 2024, and the special regular meeting of council dated 29th, 2024, understanding to remain confidential. Mover, Councilor Gree, seconded by Councilor McWhorter. All in favor? Carried. Township of Whitewater Region request for support for FCM water wastewater review. The motion reads. I can get my computer working. That's not what I want, Carolyn. No, I got it. It's my thing went. The Renfrew Town Council support Township of Whitewater Region's resolution requesting the Federation of Canadian Municipalities conduct a review of water and wastewater rates across Canadian municipalities to assess the affordability of small systems based on average household incomes as documented in the annual BMA Management Consulting Inc. Municipal Study on Ontario municipalities to utilize this information for advocating federal funding programs to ensure these essential services remain affordable for small municipalities. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, second by Revimo. Any questions on this? Revimo?
Question, but just some updated information. I will be in the next 24 hours or so, maybe 36, sending a note to Judy Dezel from the LAS program. At AMO, they had a room set up where small municipalities were urged to come and have a conversation with them about their water and wastewater rates and facilities. There was such an outstanding uptake of that. We felt that some of our communities didn't get in because the line was out around the door and down the hallway. And so she's agreed, if I can organize it, to set up a meeting with our local municipalities. So I'm in the process of setting that up. And what I'm going to propose to her is that we have a similar setup where it's virtual, where there are rooms set up for them within the meeting, and then people can go circulate through them, talking to the four moderators who will have a list of questions. So I'll be trying to set that up in the next little while. I'm hopeful for by the end of October, but I'll keep staff here up to date on that, and to make sure that we have an opportunity to participate.
Great, thank you. G.3, AMO policy update, record setting AMO 2020. All in favor? Carried. G.3, AMO policy update, record setting AMO 2024 conference focus on core municipal priorities. Mover, please.
No.
Oh, no mover?
Just for information.
Okay. I jumped one out anyway. Any questions for this? Hearing none. The AMO policy update, energy procurement, AMO community and supportive housing event. Any questions? Hearing none. Moving on to motions of which notice has previously been given. H.1. Whereas in March 2024, Council paused standing committees moving to Committee of the Whole model as a pilot to reduce daytime meetings, and whereas the change resulted in the amendment to the Procedural Bylaw 94-2022 adopted on April 9th, 2024, and whereas Renfrew Town Council has piloted the Committee of the Whole structure since May of 2024, and whereas feedback has been received regarding public confusion and duplication of discussion at both committee and council, therefore be it resolved that Renfrew Town Council hereby end the current Committee of the Whole pilot structure effective October 1st, 2024 by including Committee of the Whole as part of Council's regular evening meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month with a revised start time for Council at 5:30 p.m. and further the Town Clerk bring forward any amendment to the procedural bylaw as necessary to the next regular Council meeting. Mover, please. Councillor Sobalski. Second by Councillor Legree. Councillor Sobalski, do you want to add anything to this? Yep.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I believe that the test pilot has been successful to date. I do believe us as council are more informed with Committee of the Whole, but I also found tonight we went through some process where the mayor had to speak the fact that we had a wholesome and full discussion in Committee of the Whole and is deflecting everyone to that meeting, understanding that it can't all be covered under one meeting, but there is a lot of the conversation that can be handled in a single meeting. So therefore, the reason for this proposal is to try and achieve wholesome discussion during the evening meeting to ease others for having to log on at 10 o'clock in the morning for Committee of the Whole. So that's the reason for this, and I believe that the pilot that we could put forward for this is achievable and successful, although maybe a few long evenings.
Any questions or comments? I think it's a great idea. Review.
So, and I'm not disagreeing with this, I'm trying to work out the logistics. So would we post that the council meeting would start at 7, and if somebody logged on, they'd still see a banner saying Committee of the Whole, just if Committee of the Whole went longer? So I'm curious if we, if we have the Committee of the Whole start at 5 and council start at 7, or are we just saying log on at 5:30 and take your chances that I'm not being flip. I'm just trying to sort out how we would post it, because some people may not want to show up for Committee of the Whole on the YouTube channel.
Clerk.
Through you, Mayor, and great question and great clarification for Vimo. So there are different ways we can do this. I believe my understanding of how we would like to move forward is that we would start at 5:30 as council. You can dissolve into Committee of the Whole as part of that council meeting, so it would be one meeting, discuss those new items, and then kind of come into council. Again, I'm still working at the finer details, and I'm going to probably defer to CAO Tremblay for a little bit extra help on this, but the format of the agenda would change. So there would be a consent agenda to approve all items that have already been discussed, and then there would be a section to discuss new items that were part of new discussions that night. Do you want
See
to?
you?
Sure, just to add, because I've been everywhere, man. So I've seen, I won't sing the song, but I've seen this in different iterations. So basically, the clerk is correct in other places, and I was trying to understand what Councillor Sapolsky was trying to achieve here. We would go into committee of the whole, deal with new reports, and then rise out of committee of the whole, and then would do in one motion what Carolyn has called consent for previous items that already went, just like we do for bylaws. So anything that was previously discussed would be adopted in one motion unless council wants to pull items for individual discussion, and then you would do the same with bylaws, and you'd hear all the communications once. So basically, you still have 2 ins for new items at council. It's just you would start with new items and then ratify the previous stuff from the previous meeting, and that earlier start time of 5:30 would still allow us probably to get through what we need to get through. So similar. Mississippi Mills would be one where when I was there, they had like 9 standing committees and went to a similar model where new items and old items were ratified, like new items were dealt with at the same meeting and then old stuff was ratified. And then, so there's still be two ins in terms of staff initiatives and staff reports to bring forward to council. So it's not like you're only transacting business once. You're getting new stuff at each meeting and then ratifying at the subsequent meeting. So it's just one agenda, all reports, all in one meeting. Again, it will be to monitor if there's volume, but we've talked at the staff level about upcoming reports and upcoming policies. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting, so we think that it could be manageable, but we will make sure that we'll keep an eye on it, and also the clerk will also push the senior management team to kind of spread out the work. So I know what we've been talking about initiatives, and I've suggested to the fire chief as an example, he's working on a number of bylaws that he brings those in a timely fashion together. So it's 2 ways in, a committee of the whole, and then the ratification of reports and the ratification of bylaws.
Review? Oh, sorry.
Supplementary, if I might. And so the procedural bylaw would still remain current in the sense that I couldn't cowboy along and change everything, change a motion coming from committee of the whole to council. So the action that was agreed on in committee of the whole or recommended, we would take a vote there, and then we would then at the same time it would come up through to council that night, or would it come on the next meeting? Unless it's an urgent matter, it could come once and be ratified once, but we would be very clear. But yes, committee of the whole would recommend to full council, and then you would pass all those resolutions and you would pass all those bylaws. So it still allows for a 2-step approach, but if due to urgency an item has to be dealt with, it would still allow. But it will, to my understanding, require the clerk to bring forward some amendments to the procedural bylaw, just more in terms of the headings of the council agenda and how those items are dealt with.
Review?
Sorry, I hate to be a pain. No, I sort of like to drill holes in things if there's a problem. So right now we have the 2/3 option if you want to bring something urgently. And we still have the reconsideration clause. So those things wouldn't change if there was something of significance, but how would we determine that rather than just frivolous stuff?
Yep, clerk.
Through you, Mayor, and to address Review's concerns, my intention would not be to change those items, to remain that as the same. Again, any of the procedural bylaw amendments based on kind of this motion, if it was to pass tonight, would be certainly just along the lines of how the agenda is laid out and how the items are considered. But I do think there is value in keeping the 2/3 vote. It is in kind of municipal standard on that, as well as the reconsideration vote. It does make it a little, I don't want to say tougher, but it allows for a greater majority to consider, or greater than majority to reconsider an item. So it's not as easy, I guess would be a fun way to say flip your mind. Okay, so then again, through the process that we're discussing and proposing, it still allows council an opportunity to see an item twice if needed, to receive the item, have discussion on the item, and then, as we said, bring it forward as the ratification. If there are still concerns, or if through public comment or feedback that item wants to be still discussed in more detail, council has that opportunity, and I think I want to really clarify that, and to be sure that that is clear, is that council is still being provided with that opportunity to see it twice, right? And I think that's important, and I think that's important for certain members of the public who may want to express otherwise.
So if I can just add, so 2/3 has been used lately when we didn't get items on the agenda, when the agenda went out, so when we were outside of the 48 hours, so that rule remains. The reconsideration rules of 2/3 remain, so it doesn't affect that. It just affects, it's still a two-step process, it's just a two-step process within 2 meetings of the month instead of 4, and previously we had 5 standing committee meetings plus 2 council meetings, so 7, so we're going 7 down to 4, down to 2. And that being said, council could still call special meetings as required, which we've done of late as well when urgent items arise.
Thank you. Not trying to be difficult, and I agree with trying this. I just wanted to try and get the process straight in my head, so thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. H.2, council to agree Mattaway expansion project public feedback and engagement. Whereas on August 13th, 2024, Renfrew Town Council received WSCS Consulting's final report on the Mattaway third-party review, and whereas findings outlined within the report have identified root causes that have caused delays and overages on the project, and whereas Renfrew Town Council has committed to full transparency and believes it necessary to provide opportunity for residents to share their concerns and questions about the Mattaway expansion project as an important step forward. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Renfrew Town Council directs staff to initiate an open and anonymous survey to receive public feedback with an opportunity for comments and questions pertaining to the project for a period of 30 days, and further that the responses be compiled and that a questions and answer document be prepared for presentation to council and distributed publicly on the town's communication platforms. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor McWhorter. Any questions? Any comments? Pretty straight. Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Just quickly, so with regards to the third-party Mattaway review, residents have reached out to some council members about how they can put forward their feedback and concerns. So this is kind of a platform that they can express any questions they have or concerns, and we'll compile them. Staff will answer them, and then they'll be distributed on the town's communication platform. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. H.3, review man, direction to seek partnerships and funding opportunities. Whereas council approved an action plan to address the findings of the third-party review, which includes the formulation of a major capital projects policy, and whereas council directed the cost-benefit analysis to be undertaken to extend the useful life of majority facilities, including cost comparisons for full replacement or co-location, therefore be it resolved that the staff be directed to incorporate into the new major capital projects policy a requirement to seek partnerships with other non-governmental organizations, public-private partnerships, and municipal partners when considering builds and purchases, and further still that all sources of funding be considered, including grant and loan opportunities. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Sobalski. Any questions or comments on this? Revimo, yeah, no?
I just thought it was an add-on to what we discussed, that's all. It was no sense of criticism.
No, it's great. Thanks. All in favor? That's carried. Motions requiring suspension of the rules of procedure. I do need a 2/3 vote on this to bring those two from last night forward. Do I have the 2/3 vote?
There's a motion.
There's a motion.
Oh, my bad.
It's under...
it's right under the...
That Renfrew Town Council waive the rules of procedure to consider 2 reports not circulated within the agenda dealing with the Filing of 2 upcoming vacancies is directed at the special council meeting of September 9th, 2024. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McWhirter, and I'll turn it over to the CEO.
And then you have another recommendation.
Oh, now I got to go down and then turn it over. No, that's good.
So we need a vote.
The Renfrew Town Council approved proceeding with the recruitment of Chief Administrative Officer, CAO. That Renfrew Town Council approved the award of expert advice for the recruitment of a CAO to Waterhouse Executive Search at a cost of $24,000 plus non-refundable HST. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. I will turn it over to CAO Tremblay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems a little weird to be speaking to a justification report about a position I'm leaving, but I do.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, you go ahead. You can add.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, we didn't have a vote yet on that.
On
the 2/3 to waive procedural.
Yeah.
So that's,
I thought we did.
nope. You got a first and seconder, but
All
you
in
did not.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go.
That'll go.
And did you?
No, not yet. You got to read that. I went. Yes, I entered. Sorry. Through you, Mayor. Please
I'll
proceed
read it
with
again.
I
The
went.
Renfrew Town Council approved proceeding with the recruitment of a Chief Administrative Officer, CAO. That Renfrew Town Council approved the award of expert advice for the recruitment of a CAO to Waterhouse Executive Search at a cost of $24,000 plus non-refundable HST. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. I will now turn it over to CAO.
As I was saying, it's odd that I'm speaking to justification of a position I'm going to be vacating, but here we are. This is a practice that was approved as part of my last report about any vacancies or upcoming vacancies. So you'll see these. We were informed of a vacancy at the landfill as an example, so you'll see a report at the next meeting to justify filling it. I just want to say that it's been an honor to work for the town of Renfrew. I haven't addressed publicly my comments, and I just want to kudos to the staff team for their resiliency. I know it's been a hard time for council in this new term. I want to thank the previous one for hiring me, and this current council for keeping me, and for the senior staff and all staff for tolerating me. And I just want to say that it has been an honor and a privilege, and I know council will find the next candidate to lead to the next phase, which is really about implementation. And I know if you look at the quarterly report and the financial summaries, that there's a lot of good work that's occurring, and hopefully we can get that message out to the public. Due to the job market and the highly competitive nature, my understanding is that the average tenure of a CAO a few years ago was about 5 years. Recently, new numbers by OMA, the Association of Ontario Municipal Administrators, is closer to 2 years. So the reality is many people are retiring, many people are facing difficult assignments. So finding a qualified CAO that is the right fit at the right time with the right skill sets is very difficult. Essentially, this position is needed because it is part of the governance structure here, and I think providing a coordinating role to encourage the staff teams to do what they need to do, but also to work collaboratively remains, and that was supported by a structure review that Stephen Fournier did back in 2020. We are recommending the use of an expert firm. They have extensive experience recruiting CAOs. I know them because they call me. And I just want to, for the record, I'm not going to any of their other clients, but they are the firm that has been recruiting CAOs in kind of smaller, medium places. And us just posting a job and hoping that people will come is not a good option generally, but also for this type of role, especially at this time. Yes, Renfrew has seen some difficult times, has done some really good work in terms of reviews and master plans, and has a good path forward, but that also makes it difficult in terms of recruiting a qualified person to bring at this time. So that is why we're recommending Waterhouse Executive Search. The report details some of what's included in their fees, including a guarantee in terms of finding the right candidate, and they would be engaging council individually as soon as the posting is done to really understand the skill set of the person that you need to bring here to kind of fulfill the next phase of the work. And I'm confident that the senior team here and the entire staff team are really capable and qualified folks, but you will need a leader that can guide them and be responsive to council's direction and understand council's direction and put that into play. And I think a third-party firm is necessary. There may be candidates in the general area. The likelihood is there aren't many, and that you likely will be looking to a wider pool, and I think Waterhouse Executive Search can assist with that. So if your other options are to appoint an acting CAO for the remainder of the term and hold off on filling the role more permanently, but you are 2 years left in the mandate and there's still a lot of work to be done, so I'd suggest it's probably not an option you want to consider at this time. And the second option would be to recruit without the expert outside firm, but while the County of Renfrew has helped us with recruitment, they don't go out of their way to seek candidates. And I know this firm has filled a position, I won't name the name of the place, but where I know at the CAO level we thought nobody would ever go work there again, and they were able to get a very good candidate to go work there. That's in southwestern Ontario. So they're aware of finding the right person at the right time. So if there are any questions with regard to this report, I'd gladly take them.
Any questions from council? Revimo?
Not questioning the firm, questioning if we can get a more broader explanation as to why we're sole sourcing this, because there are other firms out there. So I think that needs a fuller explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So two things. One, sole sourcing is possible under our procurement bylaws, and there are exemptions for professional services. I've listed in the list of municipalities they've dealt with in 2024 and 2023. They're generally smaller in size, so I think they understand an urban municipality of our size in terms of population, but the high level of service and finding those candidates. And secondly, time is of the essence. If you can go out and get an RFP to get a firm, I'm not sure it would save you any funds, and it would delay the process significantly. So with my last official day with the town being November 1st, and with accumulated time leaving on October 4th, that is why I'm putting forward the proposal of this group based on the list of clients that they've dealt with. Two other references are Smiths Falls, where they've been involved with director recruitment, and then Rideau Lakes, where they have an experienced mayor who served administratively. So two kind of Eastern Ontario examples. So based on timing, but also the list of candidates, and also the competitive pricing. My estimate was 30 to 40,000 alone for the CAO role, based on what I know from other places. So I feel that it's a quality proposal, a firm that has the necessary experience, and will allow council to proceed immediately with trying to fill this role.
Any other questions? Hearing Councillor Zabowski.
Thank you. Just confirmation, the firm that we're going to be using will be going at this at two avenues. They will be posting positions along with headhunting.
Yes, to confirm, and then also they do some prep work, so they're not bringing forward candidates that they think are not going to be a good fit. So when they bring forward candidate having been prepared for having been headhunted before, they only bring you forward at step one and make sure that you're a fit, and then making sure that you're getting quality candidates, so we're not wasting anybody's time. So they'll post and see what's available. They'll kind of dig down that list and get down to quality candidates. But to my knowledge, usually they're most successful by headhunting, which is why we want to utilize them at this time.
Any other questions? Review?
Part of their process and tools, do they use some of the tools that delve into the character and personality prior to interviewing and allows more selective culling, or is that after the first round of interviews?
And what I'll do is I'll send their confidential proposal, because it speaks to their methodologies, and so they ask that it not be, but I'll circulate it via email. They would recommend doing those for round 2, which all of council would be involved with, and they would do those psychoanalytical tests for 2. They're recommending 2, but should the selection panel wish to bring forward more than 2 candidates, then they would do so. My understanding, it's about $250 per candidate, and my understanding from Delphi locally, who has done it for other positions, including when I was hired here, it would be similar costs. So they would recommend 2 for round 2.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to I.2.
Sorry, Mayor Sidney, you didn't ask opposed.
Oh,
You
sorry.
just asked all in favor.
Opposed? Noted, 6-1, that's carried. My apologies. I.2, that Renfrew Town Council approve proceeding with the recruitment of a Director of Infrastructure, that Renfrew Town Council approve the award of expert advice for the recruitment of a Director to Waterhouse Executive Search at a cost of $16,900 plus HST. Mover, please. Councilor McWhirter, second by Councilor Gree, and I'll turn it back over to the CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Director of Infrastructure, while we called her something different, Janet Collins joined the town late in 2023 to help kind of shepherd the team and ensure continuity, and she previously served for the town of Arnprior, Horton, and Whitewater region. However, Director Collins is retiring at the end of this year. We have looked over the course of my tenure here on where to put these, is there synergies in terms of reporting relationships with other departments? Due to the importance of public works and engineering and the volume of life cycle and capital work that is required, and the importance from an operational standpoint of the important work of the public works team, and recent organizational changes, and with my departure, we're recommending that you fill this job now, with the understanding that likely you would wait to have a CAO in place to do the final rounds, but having gone through this process to try to backfill Director Collins, Revimo and Councillor Legree and I were on that panel. We were unsuccessful previously. That is why at this time we're recommending some headhunting, not just putting out a post and hoping somebody comes, but to really go out and see to get a good qualified candidate. Should you not fill this position at this time, you would look to redirect the responsibility to other departments. I would suggest, based on the level of work and the work plan and the volume of capital projects on the go, that that's likely not a viable option. We tried that, and I think there's a reason why we're bringing this forward at this time. You could decide to not use the expert firm to assist. I think there's some savings by having them do both roles. They would like to complete the CAO role completely before finalizing this one, but they would go out and assist with that. And as I noted, one of their work has been with Smiths Falls, recruiting 3 directors, so that they do recruitment for our type of municipality, not just for CAOs, but at the director level. I'm not sure how successful we would just posting it and hoping that somebody comes. So that is why we're recommending, one, that the position be filled, so we have them next year, and secondly, that we use the same firm to do the search. I should note that we did budget in the 2024 budget the full costs of a director role, so those are in the 2024 budget, even though Director Collins is working part-time for the second part of this year, but the budget did include the full costs of a full position, and so therefore, should council proceed, then it would be budgeted for 2025, and hopefully we could find a successful candidate that can work with our team. I should note the good work of our manager of engineering and our supervisor of roads that are a key part of this team, and this director would help ensure that those 2 important units continue to work effectively. So any questions, I'd gladly take them. And should council not wish to proceed with an executive search, even though it's highly recommended, you could vote on these two propositions, these 2 recommendations separately.
Any questions? Councillor Spolsky.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I am in favor of going after a new director, as it is clearly needed. Understand to keep the wheels rolling. Although I will voice that I am against spending the $17,000 through the firm to acquire this person.
Would council like to divide these 2? Yeah.
Just to clarify, we already voted on the CAO one, I thought. The Director of Infrastructure. So what are we dividing?
Well, we can approve the procedure to recruit a director, just that, and then separate so that we're not going
I understand.
voting on the executive search.
I understand. Yes. Can we divide them?
Sure.
If I can just,
Yeah.
if I can just add, we have a great shared municipal service agreement with the County of Renfrew, who provides HR support. They're not proactive headhunters. That's not their role, and I just know there is a cost to the County of Renfrew, so recruitment costs money. There is a budgeted line item for County of Renfrew services. However, they're assisting with union negotiations later in the year. But again, they would help post, if we went with the county versus Waterhouse, they would post the jobs, short list, provide council with a list and some questions, but they wouldn't be doing any proactive trying to get qualified candidates that would match kind of the infrastructure needs of this town and the skill set that council will identify as part of the same process of understanding what will it take for this person to be successful. So the county wouldn't provide the same level of service as Waterhouse. That does not mean the county services aren't great. It just means they're not going out proactively trying to find potential candidates that are a good fit.
Emo? Yes, thank you. So do we need a motion to separate them, just to bring comfort to my two friends?
Yes, I think we can just split it and vote. Councillor Gray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, just for the CEO, just a clarification though, if this vote doesn't go through for the company to search for a director candidate, will the CEO amount go up then? Like, is this a combined, it's separate?
No, so you're seeing the savings, because it's essentially the same process. It'll be a 2-round process. They'll seek council's input on the success factors for the candidate. They'll post, they'll recruit, they'll analyze the candidates, they'll prep council for the interview, they'll do the analysis and the psychological tests for the second round, and then their guarantee in terms of review and the 360 review 1 year in. All of that, the same process they would do for CAO, they would do here, but this is a reflection of they would get both assignments. So that's why it's slightly less than the other, because they're assisting us with the CAO work.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And if we separate this, can we put some sort of time limit on it where we don't have success by going without the firm, that we can revisit it in terms of looking for the firm to assist us?
Certainly what would happen is that staff would come back and say, we posted, we went through, having gone through this, so I just want to be very clear, in the last 9 months, not even 6 months, we went out with the county support for Director of Operations and were unsuccessful after interviewing 5 candidates in the first round, 3 in the second round, and not finding a successful candidate. So we've tested the market on our own. It was not there. So, and I would say that the news about the town of Renfrew has evolved since that time. So in terms of attracting a candidate to come at this point in this juncture, we've done that already. So I would say that if we went out on our own and were unsuccessful, we would come back to council and look at all options. But we did just go out and were unsuccessful.
Councillor Gray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, just a comment. I agree. I was part of that panel with Reeve Emo and CEO Tremblay, and we spent a lot of time and effort and kind of came up empty-handed. These are 2 big positions to fill, with Ms. Collins leaving the organization in December, which is not that far away, and the CEO leaving in a month. It's very important that both these positions, in my mind, are filled fairly quickly, and I will be supporting the Waterhouse search. So thanks.
Councillor Sabowski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Can you just clarify, when the last round of recruitment happened, that it wasn't solely for a public works candidate? I do believe it was packaged on top of a recreation candidate, and therefore I'd have to assume the requirements would be significantly less, not significantly less, but less, therefore opening up the field a little bit more.
See it?
Just the last 3 candidates all came from the public works side. So we did get, I would say, the bulk of the candidates. We didn't really have any recreation specialists. We had 1 facilities person who did work in both rec and public works, but mostly the field was public works. We're lucky. We have some really awesome engineering people on staff, and I just want to point out they're all female. And people said, oh, when the director retires, you'll never find an engineer. Well, turns out we found a PEng, a CT, a CT, and somebody who didn't keep Director Collins doesn't have her designation still, but she still has an engineering background. So we do, to your point, we have the engineering background. We're not necessarily looking for an engineer. We're looking for somebody that can direct, and hopefully it would bring a broader pool. But I'm hopeful we can go out and also kind of suss out candidates that are a good fit for now, not just leaving it out to see if they're going to apply. But the pool was, and the final three were all, one was facilities and the other two were public works, and then with engineering backgrounds. So hopefully it's a different pool of candidates.
Any other questions? Councilor McWhorter.
Through you, Your Worship, I agree with my fellow councillors. Nobody at this time wants to spend any money. I'd love to go through the recruitment process without doing that, but based on our track record of in the past doing that, it hasn't been very good. There is a timeline. I think we need somebody in place when we need good quality people. I think this company would provide that, and I think it's a necessary evil to spend the money and get somebody quality that's going to be around for a while. The environment out there is pretty tough. If we've gone through this process, it's hard to find qualified staff and experience. So I'm on Jason, Councillor Legree's side. I think I'd vote for both on this case.
Any other questions? Review?
No, not a question. It's just, are we going to split it and go?
Yeah, I'll split it.
Got it.
Yeah. So So the first one is the Renfrew Town Council approved proceeding with the recruitment of a Director of Infrastructure. All in favor? That's carried. Second one, that Renfrew Town Council approved the award of expert advice for the recruitment of a Director to Waterhouse Executive Search at a cost of $16,900 plus HST. All in favor?
You may need a mover for that.
No, because it's all in one.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's carried. 5. All opposed? That's 2. So 5 to 2. That is carried. Thank you, Council. Any notice of motion? Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you, I'd like to move a notice of motion to suspend the Bonnechere River Park and Trail project until healthy debate by council takes place, a comprehensive analysis of cost, impact on taxpayers, town resources, and liability concerns has been conducted. Once this information has been gathered, council will then direct staff to determine the appropriate timing to move forward with further research and potential implementation of this project. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Any other notice of motions? Seeing none. We have no closed sessions. Moving on to bylaws.
Sure. No, just go.
Okay. So that bylaws listed on the agenda of September 10th, 2024 be taken as read and passed. 77-2024 revised composition of Renfrew Town Council. 78-2024 adopt a reserve fund policy. 79-2024 adopt Ontario Regulation 23902 minimum maintenance standards for municipal highways as Town of Renfrew municipal roads level of service. 80-2024 adopt a declaration of significant weather policy, and 81-2024 confirming bylaw August 29, 2024 and September 10th, 2024. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, second by Councillor Legree. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Upcoming meeting, special meeting of Council, September 17th at 9 o'clock for lease negotiation. Committee of the whole meeting, September 17th at 10:30 a.m. Regular meeting of Council, September 24th at 6 p.m. And before we adjourn, I just want to thank Council for participating in my first blooper. And we are now adjourned at 9:18.